In heat and thermodynamics, we use different units of temperature to measure the temperature, or the temperature are expressed in different units. The most common units are degree Celsius, degree Fahrenheit, and Kelvin. In the most part, in the United States, mostly we measure the temperature in Fahrenheit. If you go back to Asia, it is very common to use the temperature in Celsius. And in scientific world, most of the time we use the units in Kelvin. So it is necessary to know how to convert or how to change the units from Celsius to Fahrenheit, or Celsius to Kelvin, or Kelvin to Fahrenheit. So I have made a list here. So if you have to change from Celsius to Fahrenheit, this is the relation here. Okay. TF is equals to 9 over 5 TC plus 32. And again, from this equation, you can easily calculate or solve for TC. So these equations are basically the same. If you know an equation to go from Celsius to Fahrenheit, then you can use the same equation to go from Fahrenheit to Celsius. So you have to remember only one. And from calculating Celsius to Kelvin, it's pretty straightforward. So you have to simply add 273 to the degree Celsius to get to the Kelvin. Okay. And also I would like to mention here the Fahrenheit and Celsius are expressed in degree, but the Kelvin is simply expressed in numbers. Okay, so we call the degree Fahrenheit degree Celsius, but we do not call degree Kelvin, we simply call Kelvin. And here is the relationship between the Fahrenheit and Kelvin to Fahrenheit. If you remember this equation only, then the rest you can derive by yourself, because it is simple to use from Kelvin to Celsius. Tk is equal to Tc plus 273, and once you remember this equation, then you can simply plug back in. If you can change the Tc and plug in here, then there will be a relation between the Fahrenheit and Kelvin. Okay, but I have just listed all the relations here so that it is easier for you. But I recommend, if you want to memorize, so just remember this equation, and the rest you can derive by yourself. Okay. At 40 degree, both Celsius and Fahrenheit are exactly the same, and you can easily solve this one easily. So what you can do, so you can just plug in. If you solve for using this equation, you can easily solve for like what temperature the Celsius and Fahrenheit are exactly the same. And I will and just to demonstrate that, or just to mathematically show that, at a minus 50 degree, both Celsius and Fahrenheit are exactly the same as in my other videos. The two other things that you need to remember is water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. And if you want to memorize, or if you want to remember in degree Fahrenheit, it is exactly equal to 212 degree Fahrenheit. And in Kelvin, this is 373 Kelvin. So you just have to add 273 to this. Similarly, water freezes at 0 degrees Celsius, and which is equivalent to 32 degree Fahrenheit. And in Kelvin, this is equal to 273 Kelvin. Absolute zero temperature is 0 Kelvin, which is equal to minus 273 degrees Celsius, and in Fahrenheit that is equal to minus 459.7 degree Fahrenheit. When I say absolute zero, what does that mean? The temperature cannot go below 0 Kelvin, or the Kelvin cannot be in negative numbers. Okay, so it is impossible for any material to be negative Kelvin. Okay, or it cannot be smaller than minus 273 degrees Celsius. So the 0 Kelvin is absolute zero temperature. That's the reason we call absolute zero. It cannot be smaller than that. Okay, any temperature cannot be smaller than the absolute zero temperature. It has to be always positive Kelvin temperature. So in order to change from one unit to another, I will demonstrate one example here. The sun's average temperature is, surface average temperature is 5500 degrees Celsius. Now, if I ask you to change this temperature to Fahrenheit and Kelvin, how are you going to do that? So we have to change from Celsius to Fahrenheit. So we're going to use this equation, which is listed here, Fahrenheit. So we are given the degree Celsius and how much it is, 5500. So just going to plug in 5500, and this is a number here. So you just have to solve it and get it to 9935 degree Fahrenheit. Okay. And the other thing is, how do you change this one to Kelvin? So again, remember, if it is given in Celsius, then you simply have to add 273 to get to the Kelvin. So this is it. The one last thing I'll just like mention here quickly, as I mentioned here, at what temperature the Celsius and Kelvin are equal. So the way you can calculate is, so if you plug in, let's say here TF minus 14 as I mentioned. So 9/5 times minus 40 plus 32. So if you do the math, what you get here, 5 times minus 40 is minus 8. But 9 times minus 8 plus 32 is minus 72 plus 32. If you do the math, you'll get minus 40. So you see now, so I'm just plugging this degree Celsius to minus 40 and solve it. You get the minus 40. That means at minus 40 degrees Celsius and minus 40 degree Fahrenheit refer exactly to the same temperature. Okay. So this is it from this video, and it is a pretty straightforward, mostly the algebra. And just remember few equation here. So this equation and this equation, if you remember these two equations, then you can derive the other equations. Okay, so this is it. Again, if you have any questions, write down your questions in the comment section below. Thank you very much. Please do not forget to like, share and subscribe the channel. Thank you.